Well, I did it again. I've got a new project. I loved my 2011 Sienna build so much that I considered making another build, and I was talking to my friend Bill about it, and I was just kind of half looking, and Bill jumped online and found this van, and let me tell you guys, she's a sweet one. So she's an '06, so she's a Gen 2, 159,000 miles, so a few more miles than my 2011 by a little bit. However, it's got two things that make this one really, really special. Number one, original owner, which is pretty rare, and fantastic service record. They primarily, except for maybe the last couple years of its life, had it serviced at the dealership. So I have, between that and then the shop they switched to, I guess, a little after the pandemic, I've got, from what I could tell, all, or at least the vast majority of all service records. And this thing has really, really been taken care of. Multiple transmission and coolant flushes, which are really important for these. Of course, oil changes. It doesn't seem as though it has had any real significant mechanical errors, but, you know, a couple little things here and there. And it runs like a top. Runs really good, drives real smooth. But here's the other thing that makes this one really special and made me jump on it. It's an all-wheel drive. Now, I find that my front-wheel drive 2011 is actually quite capable, and I largely never felt like I needed to get an all-wheel drive. However, I was talking to my friend and said, hey, if I were able to run across an all-wheel drive in really, really good shape for a really good deal, I would jump on it. And he went in there and found this one. It was funny, the people had listed it, and I don't think they realized how significant the all-wheel drive is. They didn't even list it in the ad as it being an all-wheel drive. My buddy Bill just kind of sleuthed it out, and then I confirmed it. Now, one thing I want you guys to keep in mind is out here in the desert, so this van has been in Las Vegas its entire life. So in terms of corrosion, basically zero, which is pretty significant, especially for something of this age. Another thing is, out here in the desert, all-wheel drives, I mean, like literally as of the recording of this video, there's not another all-wheel drive for even sale on the pre-owned market, unless you spent like 40 grand and went to like CarMax or something and had one shipped from some other place in the US. So to find an all-wheel drive here in Las Vegas is pretty rare. Most of them that I've seen are, you know, up the north, you know, places where they have snow and stuff like that. The body, I'm guessing it had been garage kept, or at least garage kept for a good chunk of its life. Normally you'd see fading, clear coat, disintegration, things like that here on the hood or up here. I always see it up above here. Just as a side note, they had the windshield replaced recently, and I guess they didn't peel off the tape. I'll have to clean that off. The van as a whole is a little bit dirty. It's been sitting on the side of my house here, but as a whole, the paint is in really good shape. Looks like they might have played a little bumper cars here on the side. I think that will actually buff out. A few little paint chips here, a few little paint chips up here on the hood, like you'd expect. I'm not quite sure what that is, but overall the paint is in really good shape, particularly when you consider this is a 19-year-old van. Though I will probably switch to all-terrain tires at some point. The tires on this, I actually had the service record. They only have 7,000 miles on them. And they actually put a set of Goodyears, so, you know, a little bit better brand than just some cheapies. It's got the alloy wheels. Now, this is the LE, so a couple features that this doesn't have. There's a side note. It's all kind of dusty right now, but you guys could just see that paint is, even with it dirty, I think you guys can just see. Look, I mean, look how that shine is right there. This paint, when this thing gets cleaned up and buffed out, this thing is going to look like a new van, I think. sorry, going back to what it was. So it is the LE. So as opposed to my my 11, it does not have the sunroof. So as I'm sure you guys guessed, I'm going to build this one out also as a camper. So I'm going to have to work out a different ventilation system. That's fine. We'll figure that one out. It doesn't have the heated seats either. So, you know, it is what it is. But it does, they did have a couple other upgrades in it. It's got the JBL sound system, so a little bit nicer sound system. I think this is standard for the 2006s, but I actually like it. It's got this flip-up center console here, which I think is a kind of a nice little feature. You know, of course, it doesn't have things like a backup camera or Bluetooth integration. That's, of course, more of, it's probably not even a feature thing for this, for the trim level, as much as it is just the age of this. But I'm already in talks with another company to put in a modern replacement there, which will allow for the Bluetooth integration and, you know, all of that kind of stuff. So I'll take care of that. It doesn't have the heated seats, which I really did enjoy, but I'll give it up. It does have a lot of seat adjustability. I just put the towel and stuff on there because I'll probably be climbing in and out of this, and I didn't want to get the seats dirty. The seats are cloth, but as you guys can see, really good shape. Now, keep in mind, my 2011, when I bought it, that had been detailed. This one had not. You know, there's some little staining and a little bit of dirt here and there on the carpet, but I think you guys can see that overall this thing is in really good shape. Nothing a good steam cleaning and some floor mats will take care of. It does have some upgraded features that my 2011 doesn't have. So it has a little DVD player thing here. I'll be honest with you, this screen is actually not a whole lot. It is bigger, but not by a significant margin of just my phone, or if you were to use a tablet. I'm not sure if I'll even ever really use this much, but you know, it's nice to have it. I do have a question, if any of you guys have a van like this though, is it based on the buttons here, it looks like I can perhaps use something other than DVDs. And I noticed down here that, sorry guys, it does have some little auxiliary ports. I don't know, does anyone know, like, would I be able to plug in, maybe get like some sort of adapter and like plug my phone into there? I know that's the RGB hookups, but maybe like an RGB to Type-C, and therefore I can play what's on my phone on this screen. I don't know. It's not a big deal. Just if someone happens to know, that'd be helpful. But yeah, I mean, overall, I mean, like, you know, this hasn't even been cleaned. This is just as it was bought. The interior is in pretty darn good shape. Everything is intact. Nothing's broken. And everything seems to work. I mean, and this thing is turnkey. The only thing that it had is it seemed to have a slight leak from the power steering pump. It's kind of weird. It was the hose going into it, and I crawled up underneath there, and I could see it dripping down. There's kind of a little fitting coming off the power steering pump there, and it looked like somebody had, they had an aftermarket hose clamp, so somebody had messed around with it at some point in time, and the hose clamp wasn't tightened. It was like, I don't know if they did a repair and slipped the tube on and forgot to tighten it up. I tightened it up, and from what I could tell, it doesn't seem to be leaking anymore. So if I got lucky and that fixed it, that would be nice. But, you know, worst case scenario, it's not a big deal to replace that. But yeah, overall, guys, I mean, this is kind of a unicorn van. An 06 original owner, impeccable maintenance history, good shape, turnkey, really no significant mechanical things that need to be taken care of, and great body, all-wheel drive, which is the real unicorn factor in this. Like I said, it has 159,000 miles, which is a lot. There's no way of getting around that. But based on its maintenance history and Toyota's reputation, I still think this has a decent amount of service life left in it. and we'll do another camper build. Am I insane? Yeah, probably. But I got to say, I just love building them. I love planning them out. I love the whole process, and I'm excited to start on this one. I will say I've taken out the 2011, and if somehow you guys tune in this video and you're not familiar with my channel as a whole, I recently just finished a 2011 Sienna build. I really like it. The build has really, it's totally functional, and so far there's been no real improvements that I've wanted to make, because, you know, like I critically look back at my builds and determine if there's anything I want to modify. And part of my gut instinct is just to build this out the same way. But, you know, I do the builds because I want to be creative and I want to try new things. So I'm going to do something a little different on this one. I'm not going to go into it right now. But I think it's if nothing else, it's going to be something that I'm sure somebody in the history of camper builds has done it, but it's not one that I've seen before. Let's put it that way. And now I'm going to not really start working on this in earnest for a little while, probably another month or so. Got a few things around the house I want to wrap up. Plus, I've been doing some leather working, and I'm enjoying that. So I'm just going to play around with that. I also want to let the temperature break a little bit. It's definitely cooling down, but it's still pretty hot out here in the desert. And but it just wanted to give you guys an intro. One final question, if some of you guys out there might be Gen 2 aficionados, is this is stock. You know, they didn't, you know, these were professionals that owned this. They were, the male was a CPA. You know, this is just, you know, taking the family around town kind of wagon here. I feel like these sit higher though. And because if, again, going back to my previous Sienna build, I actually put that 2-inch lift on it. I did a few measurements. So for example, the bottom of the air dam there is just at 10 inches, which is the exact same on my Sienna with a 2-inch lift. And if I just kind of look to the side down here, it just feels like this thing sits higher than my 2011 did. Can any of you guys, if you guys know, can any of you guys comment if these just happen to sit higher, or did the all-wheel drives sit higher from the factory? Let me know, because I'm kind of curious, because, you know, my initial inclination was to throw a lift on this like I did on my 2011, but I'm not sure I need to. I'll definitely upgrade the tires at a minimum, but if any of you guys have any feedback on that, I'd appreciate it. But all right, so stay tuned for this. Let me know anything, any information you guys have out there on the Gen 2, any ideas, thoughts, anything. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say. And all right, we'll see you in the next one.